Hey guys, I'm John and welcome to Respect Your Intellect. A little while back, there's something that went pretty viral on the internet that I want to talk about today. It was about Logan Paul, who's a pretty famous controversial YouTuber, giving a small speech at a Flat Earth conference where he was admitting to being a flat earther. Since then, he released a movie called To the Edge and Back, with one of the greatest twists that I've seen in a while. This will contain spoilers since I'll review all the important scenes that are worth talking about, so feel free to go check out his movie first and come back here afterwards. Let's get started! Before we get started, you can check out my website at respectyourintellect.com for all my videos and all links to my social media, as well as Patreon if you'd like to support the channel and gain access to my Discord server where we can chat directly. Now, I'll admit that I didn't follow Logan Paul's channel much because he wasn't really making the type of content that I wanted to watch on YouTube. After his recent upload of this Flat Earth To the Edge and Back movie, I'm finding myself pretty interested in the type of content that I now know he's able to make. So let's talk about what actually happened since he gave his speech at the Flat Earth conference. As we said in the intro, Logan Paul gave a speech at a Flat Earth conference where he was admitting to being a flat earther. This went viral and there were literally tons of other channels that covered this and, as you can imagine, called him all sorts of names. I think that the abuse towards him for being a flat earther lasted for a couple of months in total, but he didn't falter and stayed within character the entire time. But all of it was simply a huge joke. He was trolling the entire internet, and it worked perfectly. His movie starts off with his friend Mike gradually coming out of the closet as a flat earther. He goes on to terrorize the globes all around the house and everything. That part was pretty funny, but in the next part he starts talking about Antarctica and how he was able to see the stars beyond the wall. Then he goes on to talk about a childhood friend that couldn't hold his balance due to having very flat feet and fell into space at the wall. Now, I can only imagine how many flat earthers were actually heartbroken by this story, thinking it was real, but it was hilarious. In their behind the scenes video, they mention how hard it was to record that scene with a straight face the entire time. A bit later in the movie, Mike shows off his hidden wall of flat earth stuff behind a bookshelf. I thought that was such a good representation of the usual stuff you always hear about from flat earthers. None of it made any sense, but it was mostly all stuff that flat earthers swear by, including a passage from the Bible that mentions flatness and that he uses as proof. Then he goes outside to prove that the earth isn't a globe by putting a remote-controlled car on top of a big earth beach ball and making it roll off. This is again the usual stuff you see from flat earthers, which they often use with water to show that water doesn't stick to the outside of a ball, while never accounting for the fact that they're still on Earth under its gravitational pull. Next, you have Logan that sits with elementary school students and he asks questions about the shape of the Earth, and all of them answer in different ways that it's spherical. But then you have one of the children that's scripted to be a flat earther, and I found that scene hilarious. I can swear that at some point the child was trying really hard not to laugh as he started throwing his fake tantrums. After that, there was a scene where one thing was said that I literally laughed out loud. He said that he just had to go to the Flat Earth conference because there was so much knowledge in one place. Now obviously that was comedy, but I bet some flat earthers will still try to use that as a boost to their ego. After that, when they're on the plane on their way to the conference, you have Mike that takes a level and puts it against the horizon to prove that it's flat. Again, this is stuff we see so often that it made for a pretty funny scene. When they actually get to the conference, there are speeches in the beginning where it's basically flat earthers patting each other on the back for being flat earthers. The facepalm expression on Logan's face during those speeches was either completely authentic or extremely well acted, but it was absolutely hilarious. Then they go and interview quite a few flat earthers and ask them a bunch of questions. To me, it was very clear that he was making fun of their answers in this scene, but he had to take it down a notch so that he wouldn't be discovered as not being a real flat earther. The answers that the flat earthers gave here were just more of the same stuff, like they don't think it's flat, they know it's flat. That some of the other flat earthers are geniuses. that the entire world is just indoctrinated, etc. One of them even said that the globe is just in our minds and that even if the earth is flat, the globe still exists. Make of that what you will, but it just sounds to me like that person was confused even in his own mind. After that, he also talks to a girl that has a flat earther father, that she said she still loved, and I really cracked up when Logan asked her if she ever considered not loving him. Then near the end of that interview scene, he talks to a guy that's convinced that we're on a flat earth because our toilet water doesn't drop on people in Australia. That just shows one more flat earther that doesn't grasp the concept of the up and down directions, and that down only means towards the center of the earth while standing on earth. Down has no meaning without gravity. It's not a universal direction in space. Another funny and true thing here is when Logan said that he doesn't have a picture of his intestines, but he still knows they're there. That was a very nice and accurate projection of how flat earthers claim that a picture is the only way to know that the earth is a globe. It's really not the only way. It's worth noting that when Logan said this, the flat earther seemed really confused, as if he knew it made sense, but he had no idea how to continue the conversation with a flat earther point of view. The next scene is Logan and Robbie Davidson talking. In that scene, Davidson is asked about what he thinks is the greatest scientific evidence for a flat earth. Since he doesn't have any, he instead replies that the Big Bang is everything from nothing and that it doesn't make any more sense than the flat earth. By the way, I have a video dedicated to the Big Bang and the evidence that we have for it, so go check that out if you haven't. It's a very interesting one. Davidson also said, as most flat earthers do, that the stars are just lights that were put there for us, and that someone is watching over us. This is so ridiculous that the only thing it serves to do is to make someone feel like they're special, but it has nothing to do with reality. Then Davidson talks about the Antarctic Treaty, but like most flat earthers, gets it completely wrong. Some flat earthers even link to pages that shows they're wrong when they try to use this argument, showing that they don't even read the stuff they try to use to support their claims. At the end of that scene, Logan starts acting like he's torn and starting to believe in the flat earth. This was the start of what was to become one of the biggest trolling acts that I've personally witnessed. The next scenes are just pure comedy about him and a flat earther girl he met at the conference that was pretty funny all on its own. But I won't say too much about that part. You should just go watch it and have a good laugh. The next part was the culmination of everything he did up until this point. It was his coming out as a flat earther speech that already went viral. The speech itself was very convincing, and when I first saw it myself, I was basically facepalming in the same way as when I hear other celebrities fall into this movement of ignorance. I think that especially with celebrities, the disservice to humankind for promoting that ignorance and mistrust is even greater. After that, the movie just has a few more comedy scenes. One is that Mike says that he's not actually a flat earther, while being the one that started all of this. Another is Logan saying that admitting it made him the happiest he's ever been in his life. And finally, Logan saying that he no longer believes in the globe or the flat earth and that he doesn't believe there is even an earth at all. So that was pretty much it as far as the movie goes. There's also another 30-minute video on the behind the scenes that's also very worth watching in my opinion. He talks about how hard it was to stay in character for so long as a flat earther and getting pummeled by the public. They also show some funny bloopers that got me laughing pretty good too. They also mentioned some of the parts that were sort of risky because it was a very fine line between making fun of the flat earther answers while not giving away that they weren't actually flat earthers. Overall, I would highly recommend this movie. I think the production quality was impeccable, the comedy was on point, the acting was well done, and the flow was enjoyable, so I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I would also recommend that you check out the behind the scenes video that they did afterwards for the bloopers and quite a bit of additional information on the filming process. I also really enjoyed when he talked about his feelings about the flat earthers themselves. He seemed a bit torn because they were generally nice people, but just confused about reality, and he was there specifically to troll them. Anyway, if you haven't checked it out, I would recommend you do. If you've already seen it, let me know what you thought about it, and if you agree or disagree with what I said in this video about it. I'm not expecting that everyone will enjoy it as much as I did, but I'd love to hear your take on it in the comments. If you like this video and want more, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and click that notification bell. I also recently set up a Patreon if you'd like to help support the channel and have access to my Discord server where we can chat directly. For everything else, you can go directly to respectyourintellect.com and everything will be available there, like social media links. Until next time, thanks for watching, and remember, respect your intellect.